That's how we keep it all alive. That's how we keep good human behaviour alive. Is when you see people, going above and beyond in a scenario where they don't have to, where no one's watching, where they could just clip the ticket and go along and do the bare minimum. And when you see them, and it's easy with
when you see people doing that, you feel like you have to, eh? You feel like, I need to tell them they're doing a good job, and fuck it if I don't feel like it. Like, go and do it, man. It's part of good, growing a good, strong society, community and stuff, eh? Like, people that are doing good, like, let them know. Let them know. Even if you don't know them.
100%.
And that never happens to me. Maybe I'm not doing any good. Maybe I'm not working hard enough out there.
I haven't had a pat on the back in years, boy. Should we read the list of the most selfish people?
That's where it was leading, boy. That's how Oh, no.
Seagulls make a hell of a noise, eh? Honestly, I try to love each and every animal, but some of them make it tough. Like they've been blessed with an unfortunate screech, aren't they?
They're real loud, eh?
Yeah, they're obnoxious. They sort of in your face going, sort of get the neck up, and
well, just like they're real piercing. Like the other birds they get around and quite pretty. And, they give you a nice wee tweet. And the pigeons, they make that sort of that sound, the kiddo. And then us are squawky guys, eh? But I went to the tip a few times actually. I don't really like going there. I sort of go there and I'm just like, you just see piles of shit. And I mean, like, I'm no saint. I throw out a heap of shit. Naturally, we all do, especially with business and where you work stuff. And
I keep everything.
I try to as well, actually. Sometimes I've got to, unfortunately, I've got to throw some stuff out. And I sort of go there and I'm sort of feeling bad and I wonder where it's going for one. And then like you just see people like they'll be throwing out shit and you're like, God damn. It's like half of that stuff's recyclable. Like I know a lot of stuff's not these days, but like a lot of
what's recyclable, mate? It's a whole other topic.
Or it's metal. I've seen like roofers like just throw like a whole trailer load of like I'm talking like a whole house roof, or at least be half per trailer load.
Should I add roofers to the list?
Yeah.
I don't imagine it was in the landfill section for long, boy, if you were there.
Well, I'm not going in for that, but I mean, next door, there was a scrapyard next door. They'd actually like take it off your trailer for you, and they'll probably won't give you anything for it, but he'd have to pay. They had to pay for that to go into the dump. And there's a whole trailer of steel, so it probably cost them like 500, maybe not 500, maybe like $100 to get rid of it, as opposed to like the guy's almost paying you next door for it. But
no, you're touching upon a problem we're all somewhat aware of, which is this culture of consumption and waste where it's,
like it's not our fault. It's not the people going to the dump. It's like they've got all the stuff now. They've acquired this stuff. Like you need stuff, like sometimes.
My granddad used to, when he died, he still had all his tools, all well looked after, all, they're all sitting there. And
I've got them all now, boy.
And, there's, as you say, it's not just the person making that decision. The society's having an impact in that because you couldn't afford to just go buy another one. Whereas now you can go to Mitre 10.
But you can buy a cheap one. Wow.
Well, this one's rusted and fucked because I left it out. Well, I'll just go get another one and hiff that one. And most people don't look after their things as well because
it's
of how cheap they are.
It's easier and cheaper to buy. It's normally just easier.
It's easier.
It's not cheaper to buy another one each time, for sure. But it's easier.
You got to try and take
people. All it takes is like it's actually easy to maintain shit. Like look up a video. Like say you got a rusty tool. Look up a video. There's probably a 1 minute video in there.
Yeah.
To get that.
What's the incentive for people to do it?
Yeah, there's no incentive.
There's no incentive.
It's quick.
Other than
stuff's cheap.
Yeah, so we've all fallen into it a wee bit to some extent,
Yeah, to some extent. But I mean, when you get, there's also like a bit of when you got like your tools and shit. Say you're working with your tools all the time, like you kind of like you get attached to them almost, and you're like, no, I like that one. He's done well, I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna keep him well oiled and greased, and he's gonna be in the tool belt, for a long time.
Yeah, well, your tools will be getting a lot more use than mine, boys. So you need to look after them.
Yeah. Mate.
The cheap shit that you can just replace. The glaring thing with most of it is it's not that well made usually, and it looks shit.
Yeah.
It looks made on a production line. There's no no character to it.
There's no character. There's like this plastic.
Functional.
There's plastic instead of wood.
Thing. Yep,
plastic instead of wood. And the metal's not normally as good. It's definitely not as good. Like that. I don't know what the difference is there, but there's definitely like steel used to be a lot probably harder. You can still make that steel now, but all the cheap stuff they'll be like, oh, we can get away with making this tool.
Yeah.
You know, with that. But I mean, the old tools.
Yeah.
They last a long
Oh,
time. The
the
steel's
old
good in them.
tools.
They get a bit of rust on me. You can clean all that off. And, you know, like I said, there's heaps of tutorials on like how to keep up with the maintenance on like just wee hand tools and refurbing them, getting them back, you know, into good working order.
We're all probably familiar with that feeling of needing a tool or needing something, and you go to the shop, you go to your Mitre 10s, we go to the Mitre 10s or whatever, and we look in the aisle and we're like, there's like tears all the way up, and you go,
I fucking love that place.
You know, you get up and you go, well, that looks like a tool of old, but it's about 4 times the price of the shit tool, and you go, am I going to make an investment here and look after it? Can I trust myself to look after it? Or for the job, do I just get a cheap one and then later I'll get down and get a good one down the line?
What you got to do there is never get the cheapest one. Doesn't matter what if you're doing a job and you're buying a tool, you want that tool to do that job and then do it again, because you'll be better at that job and you end up doing that job again. So you get like you meet in the middle almost without like spending too much. Never get the cheapest shit, you know, like number 8, that sort of like that shit doesn't last and it's shit.
That looking be tool shed, boy.
I mean, like for a jack of all trades like yourself, I mean, you'd be out of pocket if you bought the best tools.
Oh, fuck you, bro.
But no, don't get the cheapest. Get the second cheapest if you're like, shit, man, I just need this thing this once, and it's not. A general rule though, old shit is normally way cooler than new shit, and it's way better. It's better made. It was handmade normally most of the time. It was handmade.
Yeah. It's part of it's the handmade, right?
Yeah,
handmade versus machine made with a
and
little bit of.
And the wood was, you know, like was nice hard wood, and they would have used that specifically for that, so that it will last a fucking long time. It'll last as long as the steel if you look after it and it's not left out in the rain.
It's funny because that'll extend to nearly everything, won't it? I'm looking up at their guitars. You know, vintage guitars are very sought after, very pricey because of the craftsmanship. Furniture, you know, some of that old furniture, you look at that and you go, ha, a machine could not do this. Yeah. You know, it's machines incapable.
Well, now it can. Like machines can do all that shit.
No.
What are you talking about? Furniture? No, machines they can cut all the board. All it is like it's more like the decorative stuff on furniture. You know, the wee things that.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, boy.
The decoration. That's what they went into back in the day. Like, and I suppose you're talking to modern stuff.
You could walk through Larnach Castle and tell me that's machine built, boy.
Machine built. None of those, but wasn't many machines that building that place. But it's like, the wee nooks and crannies.
Machine men with machine minds, boy.
Hand carved with chisels, with like skilled, like what do they call them, like carpenters, craftsmen, like. Well, the chiselman. I suppose it was just a chiselman, you know, at some point. I had been to Larnach Castle, actually, man. That place is sick, man. I went there. I was with the whole family when I went there, and I'm definitely going to go back by myself. Might even ask if I can sleep over there for the night, just to get a real feel for the place. But
it's badly haunted.
Well, I hope so.
By chiselman.
I got talking to the guy there that kind of, he's been there for ages. He kind of shows people around, people that are interested. He realised I was quite interested, and he sort of came and hang out with me for a minute. And I was in the big foyer on the way in there, and I was looking up at the ceiling, and I was like, "What?" It's like what's going on up there? And he comes over and he's like, "That ceiling took 6 years for these guys, and there was like 3 or 4 of them working on the ceiling for like 6 years.
One room,
this big foyer. Like there was."
That'd be pretty standard practice these days, wouldn't it?
I don't think so, fella. They, like, these wee bits, these intricate little bits he's carved in, all this wood he's sort of stuck on, and, like, there's so many different bits of wood up there, and then he's like, this guy points out he's got this wee signature for every... He's like a real artist, like, he's a sort-over guy. I'm assuming, like, Larnach Castle's Dunedin, so they've shipped him from finishing off castles over in Britain and over there, like, doing all that sort of stuff. And I've shipped him over here to do this for William Larnach it was phenomenal, man. 6 years for a ceiling, like that's what they were happy to wait 6 years for a ceiling. Like that is just,
it's just mind-boggling, eh? You can't
even, you know, it's crazy. 6 years.
6 years. What do we expect in 6 years these days, eh? Like,
you could do a house. You can pump out a house in like 4 months. Not a castle, but I mean a castle sized. You wouldn't be 6 years for a mansion. A mega mansion, I reckon you'd be. You know, I haven't built one myself, but you'd be 2 years for a proper big motherfucker. 3 years for massive. Depends how much money you throw at it, I suppose. Back in the day, these guys were probably held up with ships, bringing glass from France and marble from Italy and all this shit.
Those mansions don't these days. Not that I've set foot in many mansions, but they don't have the wow factor of the old stuff, do they?
Like your new mansion,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, the new mansions. You You step in and you're like, oh shit, this must have cost a bit. You know, it's nice, but.
Well, look, it cost. You can look at it and you're like, this cost a lot.
Yeah. This looks like money.
Like they could have paid for like probably 1 million of those ceilings those guys did. Those carved back in the day for that castle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's just there's no one out there doing it, and they can't do it like that. And no one's willing to wait 6 years for a ceiling.
Does it stop you in your tracks the way Larnach Castle does when you're walking around there? Because what is it? It's the devil in the detail, is it? It's the attention to detail is astonishing on old stuff sometimes. Yeah.
It is crazy, eh? And like the new stuff, it hasn't got that character in it. Like, and I think you can bring it in, but I think what you got to do is you got to salvage a bit of it. You got to go and find it. Those buildings that are kind of coming down with all that old character in it. Yeah, it might be full of bore and stuff, but bit of work. But then again, you know, you're going into working on it and for years.
That's something that I love about old stuff is when you do walk into one of those new mansions, it's like a
I thought you had never walked into one, boy.
Well, yeah, hypothetically. Were I to walk into a mansion, in historical terms, it's a baby. You know, there's no history in it. Every old artifact has a story. You know, that's one of the reasons I love going around op shops and things like that, and you pick things up, you know, and you don't know what the story is half the time, but you're like, this thing's got a story to it. It's lived, you know. History does something. Stories do something to places. You know, you can walk into those old places and you can feel the history. You're like, man, there's been generations of humans come through. God knows what's happened. So you get the same thing actually in a forest, old forests and stuff, where you're like,
well, that was a big part. Like a build like that was a massive part of everyone involved in that's life. You know, well. The guys that started working on it, you know, like it would have been all finished. Like I don't know how long it took to build all up. I think it was 7 or 8. The ceiling took the majority of it, by the sound of it. But it's just cool, man. I like thinking of that shit and like how they built stuff back then.
You're a bit of a, salvager of artifacts when you see them.
Yeah. They call me an albatross rather than a seagull. Just
they do they?
Yeah. Well, the seagulls do anyway.
What's an old piece you've shown me that you've picked up along the line? Like maybe that I'm thinking of that old opium pipe or whatever.
Oh yeah, I found it on I didn't actually. It had like a wee compartment you'd put it in, like a wee brush, like it had everything, and that's why it was so cool because it had all the wee bits and pieces.
All the human hands that have touched that throughout its life, you know, and it's got its own wee life, like a wee Pixar movie.
I smoked a bit of weed through. I had to try it out. I didn't have any opium. I put a bit of weed in there and had weed. Just to make sure that it worked.
But you know, you do the same thing and try and put a little segment together of something on the shelf at Kmart that you've bought home. It's like a guy they've got to the production line and then it's shipped over here and there it is. That's your story.
Yeah.
You're starting with a blank page with all these things, which, you know, everything starts with a blank page in some sense, but I don't know. I just love stuff that's imbued with stories and history already.
Yeah.
I'm just drawn to it.
Things well made, eh? There's something about them.
Yeah, there is.
They're just cooler. They're just cooler, man.
Yeah.
You look at something from back in the day, and you look at something from nowadays that's been made. So hey, don't get me wrong. There is some fucking cool shit that's been made nowadays. That's way cooler. You know, technology's evolved. Heaps of stuff's gotten better and cooler, and there's certain stuff.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking
cooler?
like I mean, yeah, I was probably thinking more like tools, like
they've made the job,
like power tools,
yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
And something, what's some things that they've improved? Hand tools they might have improved.
Yeah, but but those are tools. They're not actually products.
I don't actually think those hand things are probably haven't got any better. They're like the proper hand tools they had back in the day.
But you know what I mean? Like you're describing tools to make a product, but in terms of products, what products?
Yeah,
I mean, digital's a whole other ball game, right? You know, we could talk for hours on that, what that's meant for the arts and things like that. Like it's changed the types of art that can be made. You know, there's music being made now that actually physically couldn't have been made 30 years ago because of the method. You know, people can combine sounds in a digital space on their computer. You couldn't go into a studio and fuck around like that. You know, you're paying for the tape, and you actually can't sit there and fuck around with tape the way you can digital. You get new types of music come out of that. So it's a whole other, you know, and people get into personal preference of that. That's just two different types of art. It's all music, but yeah, I don't know where I'm leading with that, but send me back.
I'd love to go back, man.
Where would you go?
Right now. What year?
Plonk.
What year would I go? Shit, I hadn't had time to think about this, but
maybe 2 years into the Larnach roof. Get the chisel out.
Where would I go? I'd go. What year? What year would I go back?
Specific year.
Or decade. We can say decade. You could say decade.
You could almost say century, boy, and that would be fine.
I mean, I'm not great on history, so I might drop back into like a crazy war or something like that. But you know, I'm beside the fact of the war, accidentally. But that's what I'd have to be careful of. You know, I'd have to do a bit of research before I jump in a time machine.
Fuck!
Take me back. Oh god! But I don't know, man. Probably late 1800s, I reckon. Early 1900s. Like a little bit of technology kind of.
You're always going to walk into everywhere you go, you're going to get to somewhere where you're like,
not wild west.
Fuck, we don't have penicillin, or we don't, like, you're going to get in some terrible.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you could just pop in for a day or two. And
tell you what, that makes you think, like, you wouldn't actually someone these days, if they probably wouldn't want to fucking go back that far. Nah. The majority of people.
Nah.
Because of the penicillin, because of the medicines, like
the anaesthetic and the penicillin alone,
and the doctors.
Bless the doctors,
hospitals.
Bless the hospitals. Bless the hospital workers.
Yeah, but oh man, 60s, 70s would have been pretty cool by the sound of it. Music wise, I'd probably run back into the 60s, 50s.
Wouldn't mind popping back to like around about those couple.
Well, how old would you be there? I'd probably want to be.
How old would you be?
How old would you want to be in the 60s? I don't know, how old were like the Stones and shit. I reckon you'd want to run through
around their age.
Yeah. I reckon around their age, because then you could see it all. Because they, you know, I mean, you go back for some blues, a little bit of like.
I wouldn't
more
mind
gnarly
popping
blues
back
a little bit earlier, you know.
I wouldn't mind popping back to check in on when around that couple of days when Jesus was purported to burst forth from the tomb.
Reported, teleported.
But yeah, back around there, that would be interesting. Kind of going. Imagine you went back there and you're like, "Oh shit, he did. No, he is. He's out.
That would
the resurrection.
be,
You know, like that would change.
Imagine coming back nowadays with that information.
Yeah,
No, he's real.
He came back.
Waxes down on his street, telling everyone he's real.
Oh shit!
You'd have to be careful, because you could see some truth. You're like, actually, no, that happened.
Yeah,
and you're coming back as a time. It wouldn't work. You couldn't. You'd have to be super smart. Imagine trying to portray something like that coming back. That's getting deep. You can't even. That's never gonna happen. Well, it might.
How's it going?
You good fella. How was the show?
It was good. It was good. I'm trying to be a bit more cultured, you see. Just trying to.
Nice, good shit.
Sitting at home and watching sport all the time.
What'd you go to?
It was the Invercargill Repertory show.
Yeah. I've seen that advertised a wee bit.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, it was good.
You sound tired, like it's an emotional toll on you.
No, I should be a lot more enthused. They did a great job.
Good stuff. I see shit like that advertised, and I know a few of the people involved in that, and I'm always like, should make a bigger effort to go to the stuff. And it's just hard.
I say the same. Yeah.
It's just hard with young kids too, and fitting everything in, and it comes around, and then you're a fucking hypocrite going, "Oh, bring that band back down there. I'll go next time."
Yeah.
And then you see how much work that gets put on. Like, I mean, obviously there'd have been a couple of months of leading into something like that, and then it's not loads of people go along to these things. It's hard work getting a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
we really do need to. Yeah, sorry, we really do need to support that culture. You're right. Like it is. There's some bloody talented people out there. And what were they putting on tonight? What were they doing down there tonight?
It was a show called The Shape of Things. Yeah, so there was
some dancing.
No, it was pure theatre, which was for the Invercargill Repertory. No, it was quite good. I went to. I was about the same earlier in the year. There was the Invercargill Musical Theatre put on Jersey Boys, and
I was told to go to that.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to go. In full transparency, I got given a ticket, so I thought, I better go along. And then I went along, and afterwards I thought, geez, really should be going to these things, because it was quality. Yeah, it was good.
The Invercargill musical theatre always do punch above their weight, hey?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. For the local group, like they put on some. Well, I'm no expert.
I've been to one.
I've been to one, and I've declared it quality. Yeah. People more in the know than me suggested it is quality, so that backed up my comments. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff, mate. A nice wee change to your Wednesday evening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's normally watching reruns of Frasier or something like
that. You beauty.
Frasier. A little wee toast to Matthew Perry tonight, eh?
That's
Chandler Bing.
Chandler Bing. We all someone's put something up. We've all got a bit of Chandler Bing in us, eh? Like, it's sort of like trying to make people laugh, like that enjoyment. Like he's
a real cultural phenomenon as we were growing up.
Absolutely huge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for what is quite a simple sort of show, isn't it? It's just a group of people.
And they just hit it. They hit it massive.
It was massive. Yeah.
I mean, I loved it, and you'd watch it. You'd be watching it again. You'd seen the episode like 5-10 times.
This is probably more up your sort of alley, Wax. But they obviously got the casting bang on there at the start, didn't they? They hit the nail on the head there.
You know it's right when you look back and you just couldn't picture a single other person in any role. It's lightning strikes sometimes in the entertainment world, isn't it?
Isn't it amazing how it hits you? You've only ever watched this person on screen and you have no affiliation, whatever. But when that sort of news hits, it rocks you a wee bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it has rocked.
Yeah.
It sounds like it had a few demons, I mean, it's not a usual life, we all know there's another side to that level of fame that, it's
it's not your usual life, is it?
Nah. Because it was daily and you grew up with it on your TV, there's almost a wee bit of feeling like, if I hung around that guy for some time, like back in the... I knew him by proxy.
Yeah. You sort of can relate to some of the storylines. I don't know, maybe. Group of people flatting.
Which one are you talking about? Which one?
I don't know, actually.
That one where Ross gets his teeth whitened?
When he locked himself in the suntan thing.
Yeah.
We went to
Tries to get the couch up the stairs.
I might have to put it on again, eh? I might have to buy the bloody DVD set and put it on.
The last episode where they walk out and put the keys on the counter sort of thing and walked out. It was quite, I don't know if you remember that one, or what I'm talking about. But I remember leaving a flat that I was in for a while, and at that moment you walk out and you leave the keys on the counter and you think, it's quite a poignant moment.
Yeah. Did that have you sort of rolling around in the fetal position.
What?
Tears.
Ice cream and
what? When what? What are you talking about?
no, when Friends ended.
Friends. Yeah, it was quite emotional. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a Friends. Like you said, it was one of those ones that was just on every. I don't know what time when I was
6
young.
was it 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
6, I think.
Yeah.
6:30. 6. Simpsons at 7.
It was an hour and a half after Dragon Ball Z anyway. That's
Yeah,
what I
we
knew.
all had our you're all got your wee clocks that you're running off back there.
Yeah.
There's something you look back at that, when we first got access to just playing things whenever we want, it was like, wow, this is what we've always wanted. But that wee bit of me always looks back at that kind of things on the clock, with the nostalgia.
Appointment viewing and
You had to be there at that time to
Be there
witness
or be
that great
square.
show, or you missed it. You're like,
And you couldn't gorge. You had to spread out your meal.
well, and it helps you figure out your time, like how you spend your time. Oh shit, I need to put bloody half an hour away for that and that, or I can't catch up at night on my phone. That wasn't around.
you set your day up around your favourite program.
Nights of sleeping.
Yeah, you did. You raced home when you knew. Yeah, different time. It's not that long ago. We actually realised last week, Savvy, we didn't introduce you. You run the Southland Tribune, which has been a great thing for Southland.
It's keeping me out of trouble.
So the Tribune is an electronic newspaper, essentially, isn't it? That's coming out, and it's telling local stories around Southland. The point of difference being that you're a great writer, Savvy. It's this lovely balance between colloquial, conversational but professional, and it's a voice of reason. It's given both sides of a lot of issues, and I was actually thinking the other day about Gore, that bloody 180k review they're going to do, because they reneged on that, didn't they?
Yeah, they decided not to. Yeah.
I was thinking you probably played a big part in that happening, because media, and it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Tribune that got in there first, or got in there early.
Well, no, I can't take all credit. I think media in general, if you didn't have local journalism, those sort of things, you're right, wouldn't get exposed, because it's ridiculous for such a small town to be having to pay that much money.
But when local media is doing its job like that, it's heat, isn't it? It's putting heat on, and they feel it, and it actually can impact their decision making. They can go, shit, the media's on us, right, we've got to sort this shit out. Whereas if that goes unquestioned and unchallenged, but you're really saying to the people, in case you're not aware, here's what's happening with your money here. Because a lot of people are busy, they're not looking at that.
And are you happy with your money going there? Like, especially at a place like Gore, like how many ratepayers? They haven't got as many ratepayers as we have. Like, they feel that,
exactly.
when you waste your money like that. I think that you're right, Wax. Let's put the pressure on.
I've definitely read out. There's quite a problem in the States at the moment, where there's a lot of towns that have lost all of their local newspaper and local journalism, and the biggest thing is that there is no one, because when you go to council meetings, it can often be the councillor staff and then the media, and that's it. There's no one from the public, or very often.
They're all busy fucking working.
Exactly, yeah. People don't have time to sit through that. So if you don't have the local media there looking, and I know that there's some concern in the States at the moment, because a lot of towns there's just no scrutiny of the council. It's not to say the councils are terrible, but you've got to, as you said, you've got to ask some questions around some of the money that gets spent. But
where can people catch it? Where can people find his stuff? Are you on Substack? Do we need a?
Look, to be fair, and this thing is just easiest if you just Google Southland Tribune, and then there's some prompts if you want to. You chuck your email address in, and you can get the old Tribune sent to you. So,
one interesting one that's on the agenda at the moment that the boys have both been sort of intrigued on is the Wachner Place debacle.
Yeah,
give us a bit of a lay of the land there.
Well, it's an interesting one, yeah. I mean,
sorry, mate, before you start, but again, the only reason I knew about that was an article that you'd written, and a lot of people wouldn't know what's going on. So yeah, what is going on?
I'm patiently waiting for the town crier to get out there and deliver this stuff. Well, do you want me to give you the rundown of what's going on?
Please.
Right. obviously there's a new hotel being built in the old Menzies building, the lower Esk Street there.
Is that council built, or is that Richardson, or is that
no?
private?
That's Distinction, is it?
The Distinction Hotels. Guy called Jeff Thompson, who's an Invercargill person actually.
He's got hotels in Te Anau, I think.
Yeah. Te Anau, Dunedin, all around he's done very well for himself. And anyway, so through that process, they're looking at what they do with Wachner Place. And so before Wachner Place, and I didn't know this till recently, was put in place, it was actually a road, just went straight through from like Esk Street through to Leven Street.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was no Wachner Place here, and the street just went right through. Now they're looking, the council, to try sort of tie in the new hotel with the rest of the CBD. They've basically gone, is Wachner Place at the moment sort of fit for purpose with what they want to do. But the preferred option they're talking about is basically opening it back up as almost a street, but a one lane access for tour buses to get through to the hotel. And that's obviously created a bit of debate with people whether that's the right thing to be doing, is knocking over Wachner Place.
Some of that debate's come around the historical value of it, eh?
It has, yeah, but Wachner Place was only opened in 1989, so we're not talking
pretty recent, yeah.
Yeah, but it is also there's an Invercargill mayor called Abraham Wachner, and his wife, after obviously he passed away, donated some parcels of land to the city council, and from that, Wachner Place was built.
That's pretty cool, eh?
So she donated some land and they sold it, or she donated...
That wasn't the land, though. Wachner Place wasn't the land she donated.
I believe there was parts of it, but actually that's something I'm not sure whether it was through.
Fuck, are you doing your job there, mate?
Yeah, you actually caught me out right there. That was an answer.
How many big bustling full buses are we picturing turning down to this hotel?
Yeah,
well, that's the question a few people have raised.
Another point was... someone must have commented on your story or something like that. I read it somewhere. They said as soon as you take that big wall down, the structure of it and all that, he's like, the wind howls through there and howls straight through into Esk Street, where they've spent all this money on this outdoor sort of it's not outdoor shopping centre, but it's like a nice street that connects a lot of sort of shopping into Esk Street, and turns that into a wind tunnel. I mean, that's definitely a good reason to not bowl it, I suppose.
That's certainly been a contentious issue, and some the people that are saying, "Oh no, it'll be fine," and then others are not. So, but I would have thought there must be some sort of, I don't know. There's experts in everything these days. There must be some sort of experts that can tell you how it's going to work if it gets opened up. Because there's some people saying that Wachner Place was actually built to stop that wind, or parts of Wachner.
But we can't find the documentation.
And now they want to open it up and just blow into wind tunnel. I mean, it's definitely up. Should be up for a good debate to this.
This city has got a problem with needing an exuberant amount of parking and vehicle access. It's like we're a small little place. You can walk a block. We already, in my view, shouldn't have cars on Esk Street.
Then again, the access does bring people, if tourists come into town, they probably do like the bus pulling up out the front of the hotel. I mean, I can see that side of it too, but I mean, surely there's another way. You shouldn't have to blow through Wachner Place.
And they could pull them through Leven Street.
Maybe more thought and get some other ideas involved in that, and see what we actually could do with that space. Rather than, I mean, once you build a bus lane through there, we ain't getting it back. I haven't got any real ties to it, but I don't feel like it should turn into a road.
See, my theory is, this is what I think, I think we need a public space of some sort that people can gather and whatever.
And all dance to the sound of music.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I'm not sure that Wachner Place is the right place for that, because it's next door neighbour is a state highway, crying out. But I'm not sure what the other alternative option is, whether there's something can be done around what's going to be an empty H&J Smith site.
I've got an idea. I've got an idea. What if we could do a compromise? I don't know. Maybe say they want the bus lane there. I'm not for the bus lane, but an idea. I'd be more okay with the bus lane if it was like, say they sort of did it up. I don't know someone would come up with a design. But when the bus comes up, to go through, the big door slides open, you know. The bus goes through,
Like
the door shuts. Like, how cool would that be? Keep that clock structure almost, you know, like keep it up there and have the bus going underneath it. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea.
I reckon rather than electronic though, you want big wrought iron gates, and there's a guard, and a king's guard, and he is to sort of unbuckle.
No, why don't we just have 2 king's guards and give them actually? That'd be cool. You could make some cool gates, you know, get some cool glass in there, you know, tie in with a cool like a glass bloody company in town, design something like gnarly, you know.
It's so weird with governing a town where you go, well, what do the people want with it? And as you say, well, they don't really have actually a productive means of engaging with the public on what people want around this. They host a wee fucking council thing that, as you say, 3 people who don't have jobs go along to, and fucking one couch potato from the Tribune, and they're fucking and like and most of the public are just there in the comments section on things, kind of giving their 2 cents, going, oh, that's stupid, and it's already ship sailed by that point. Like, how do they engage with the public?
Look, I sort of have to say I feel for the council because they do try a few things, but the reality is I reckon the whole submission thing is flawed, because what you get is like for this Wachner Place thing, for example, they got about 150 submissions, and most of them were against knocking over Wachner Place. Like, you know, they obviously had attachment. But
so submissions, explain the submissions. So what's going on with
that? Well, this is probably a fair thought that people haven't heard, but they basically put out a thing saying if you're interested in having your say on whatever the subject might be, in this case Wachner Place, then you can have your say, and then people put their submissions in what they think.
So they can write into the council, and then they say,
into it. and then they can also. There was a thing last week that they can come along and speak about it as well if they want.
How do they know? Do they send everyone in town an email about that, or does
how do you get that information out there?
No shit, they've got the whole town's emails.
Yeah.
Remember that one? If they wanted us to go there, they'd fucking email us. You think?
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, well.
They don't want us to know, mate.
I'd be happy getting emails from the Invercargill City Council about shit like that.
Hey, Nicholas McGrath, what do you think?
You're a member of the town. What do you think should happen?
What do you think should happen with Wachner Place, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is a good point.
You'd definitely open that one. You wouldn't open the rates invoice statement, but you'd open that email.
I mean, it's weird. I've actually been thinking maybe they need some new tech, like some app and shit, but you're right, they could be just using email to all the fucking...
That's a good idea.
All the citizens of the town and going, hey...
All you're doing is letting them know that the submission's open, I suppose, for a certain...
But I'd be interested to know what kind of impact that actually has on what they do. If you get 100 people come in and you go, well, we've got 50,000 people in the town, 100 have put in this thing.
150.
Do we even listen to that?
So you say there was 150 submissions. So, I mean, how many people got that?
If you get 150 submissions saying, don't do this, please, and you look at your number of people in your town, you're doing some simple math. I'm no mathematician, but you're going, oh, do we just go ahead and do it? That's, what's that?
Well,
0.000.
But then I suppose it does pay to be interested, you know. I mean, if their argument would be, well, you've got no clue what's going on because you're not looking at what's going on. Like, there probably has been articles about it, and it probably did come out somewhere. So, but I mean, an email would be great and very informative.
I mean, as I said, the process is a little bit flawed because you get 150 people, and actually that's actually quite a few submissions for a lot of things. Is very few.
That's crazy, huh?
But often it's flawed because you might get 150 submissions on something with people against, but often that's because those people are triggered. They're like, oh Jesus, we can't have that happen. But the bulk of people that might not be that phased about it and be quite happy with it aren't submitting. So then you don't get all of that, and then you get. Well, it looks like it's an overwhelming support that Wachner Place should stay or whatever the subject might be. But back to your point about whether they listen to it or not, well, that's the dilemma that the old councillors have got, whether they feel that they know best and they box on with whatever their preferred option, or are they thinking, oh, geez, people have spoken here.
Yeah, would I? I should ask myself that question. Were I a councillor, would I recommend we listen to that when you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you actually don't really know how representative it is of your city.
So if you knew you had a majority, like more than 150, say you had 15,000 people saying, "Hey, don't do that."
Well,
they'd just be happy to get that many responses, I think.
So back to Wachner. Are they thinking these buses are coming from Queenstown, like from Fjord, Queenstown, and then Invercargill is going to be another destination? Like, do they need to go down that way?
Like, sometimes they think about this shit weirdly, where they're like, "We've built a big hotel, so now people are just going to come to stay at the hotel."
Yeah, no shit. What? Come and drive through the gates. Come on. Come on. It's a great point, Wax, actually.
it opens up the other topic where we're soon going to have, I think that's about 150 rooms in that new distinction hotels.
That's one double-decker. Come on. He can drive around the block. He can drive around the block. Come on.
Yeah, to go with the old 80-odd that the Langlands have got. So all of a sudden, in the space of 2 years, we're going to have added 200 and whatever that is rooms in the city, and they're going to have an increased number of visitors to make it work.
What do you think about the idea of them doing a ballot each week, and like a family has to go do a stay at one of the hotels, like they're picking out citizens?
Well, they could really ramp up the whole staycation.
What's that?
The old staycation. You go and have a holiday at the hotel room.
For the locals.
They can do some special rates.
They'll definitely be getting used for local swingers, for sure. Savvy knows.
Isn't those motels that you book by the hour or something like that?
Tell you what would be good for a brothel. So we did a brothel in town. Mate, there's 170 people coming in on buses. For God's
We've gone from Wachner Place to brothels.
I shouldn't have given that idea out, actually.
If they do get rid of Wachner, my default position is normally if anything sort of historic has got to keep it.
Yeah.
But I don't really have that same sort of feeling with Wachner Place. But if they do decide to get rid of Wachner Place, they've got to say, we will commit to looking at an alternative public space for...
Yeah, that's a good...
because we need some sort of... public space.
I still think they need to pull the cars off S Street. They've done this whole new street, and there's just no need to have cars going and parking on there.
Speak for yourself, mate. I went into Spark today, and it was actually nice just pulling up out the front. I didn't have to walk around the block.
There is 700 new car parks in the building right there.
I mean, I'm happy. I mean, if I couldn't drive down there, I wouldn't give a shit.
I think that would be much better served as like that main street in Queenstown, just a wee sort of walky, mally street. Like.
My thought is the other side of S Street. If you're planning the city, the other side of S Street would just be all like your hospo, your cafes and restaurants and bars, all over that side. So it was almost like
That's what your Melbournes and stuff are like, eh? You walk down and you're just choosing where to eat.
So you say like we're going to meet in S Street. We're not, and then you pick where you get what bar.
We're going to town. We're going to town. We don't know where we're going yet.
You mentioned Savvy as well, that H&J's is up in the air. So if they do end up bowling there, that's quite a big space there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean you could carve off a bit of that space for potentially a town square as such, or whatever you call it.
Shelter something in there.
You're getting the sun there, aren't you? You're getting the sun. That's a great idea for that.
And then sort of build maybe some sort of. To be fair, one idea of Nobby's that does the Southland District Council, the Invercargill District Council, and Environment Southland, all based in Invercargill, and all of their buildings are past the use-by dates. So it makes sense to build a...
They've been working so hard getting our buildings up to date. They've forgotten about their own.
Yeah,
Bless them.
Yeah. So you could, I don't know, they could use that space, build a new building, and plus have a...
That's massive, though. H&J's is massive, man. When you look at that, like you could it's huge, eh?
Yeah.
They can do a lot with that. Like,
it'd be great where you get some bloody picnic tables and nice areas there. I think they need to get more inner city living. I've been big on that because
you'd love that, eh? Sitting up there,
shit, yeah.
Just looking over the town, mate.
The thing is that I remember when it was first discussed the whole rebuild of the inner city, and someone suggested they need to get apartments or more inner city living, because what happens is basically the town's busy from 9 till 5, and the place just empties out. But
that's a good point. And also with like the bar sort of thing, like having a half decent nightlife in a certain place, it requires people to be living in town, right? The other guys, they ain't got to get a ride home. They're going to go out to town or go to a restaurant, have a few drinks with their friends. Like that's good. Bringing that in the city, and that might help drive up the traffic in these bars,
Exactly.
And they've built a few of them lately, and
because the thing is, a lot of our leaders of Southland just can't fathom how anyone would not live in a quarter-acre section or something, and they can't fathom that anyone would be interested. But a lot of migrants to the area, they're more than happy to be living in an apartment, or retired people that maybe
not only more than happy. Like I know a few that they miss sort of being in the middle of the town.
Yes.
It's almost they've grown up in the middle, living in cities and that, and
it's more people oriented. You're actually talking to people more.
You're a different lifestyle.
When you got your place, some people like this space and stuff, but when like a lot of people are people.
We're not catering for the urban socialites.
Was it Matt Anderson Stewart? Was it? Did we article on him? It was you, eh?
Yeah,
was that him? He was like, we need to build up. People need to get used to inner city living. He's a local architect, and sort of that's where a lot of architecture is around the rest of the country, I bet.
That's right. Yeah, I think they'd be surprised that there actually is the demand for that sort of...
And it would bring them in.
That's sort of where all these buses are going to go first.
I got another idea for the Wachner Place. What about a bridge over the top of the...
Like a big... Oh, God.
You love your tunnels and bridges, don't you?
Well, we can't go through it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be remiss of us to not finish up tonight, Savvy, with a wee debrief on the TMO.
Oh, we're going to go there, are we?
Yes. This World Cup, I don't know about you, but it felt different. The game felt quite different to the previous World Cup that I remember watching.
I'm going to come across as real negative Nelly here, but the whole World Cup was a bit of a fizzer, I thought. Apart from the two quarterfinals, I enjoyed those. All Blacks Ireland and France, South Africa. But the rest of it, you think about it, we played France for a start, and it was really a nothing game because it was going to be France and us going through. And then we spent 4 or 5 weeks just drifting to the quarterfinals, where 1 week we had a bye.
I actually forgot it was on halfway through. Normally, like the World Cup comes on, it's like, what's on next week? It was like, must have been that bye. I was like, oh shit.
It was just in this massive holding pattern till we got to the quarterfinals. But anyway, and then as you mentioned, the whole state of the game around the import of the TMO and everything like that.
It feels like there's been a shift in how proactive that TMO is.
Definitely.
Where it was, the ref and the touch judges kind of would go there if they weren't sure of something.
If they needed to, if they're like, shit, I want to...
It's quite a major shift now to a team of analysts, proactively throwing stuff up, going, did you notice this? Did you notice
Overriding
this?
the game.
Overriding, pulling things back.
Like if the game's so... I feel if the game's so quick... I'm not a big rugby analyzer at all, by any means. Can't even say the word, for God's sake. But for the game to flow, if the ref can't keep up, with the game's too fast, it's like that's his fault. The TMO shouldn't be there. Like the game's obviously getting quicker. The guy's fit as hell. He's going to be there at most things. If he misses the odd thing, the game's too quick. Like that team deserves that because they're pushing the game, And for the TMO to come in, it just seems like they're interfering. They shouldn't.
Well,
of course we're going to say that,
we're just living in this world where they're trying to get every call right. And because of that, they're just studying everything to. But the reality is, sport is still a human, and you're going to have mistakes, or people are going to get away with things.
But if it's consistent, like no one will care in the end. It's just there's so much controversy.
It can't be consistent really because there's just. They're pulling up.
No, they need one ref. They need one ref to ref every game of the World Cup.
Whatever he needs. One game a week for 52 weeks.
Yeah.
Every rugby player knows that there's just daylight between like genuine foul play and mistimed stuff. And I get that they're trying to mitigate head injuries for guys who you can't just take their word for it about what they want to do with their heads. But
look at UFC, you know. It's all right.
But
there's definitely some fears around
lawsuits,
around being seen to making sure they're looking after people as best they can, because we've obviously seen with.
But they've gone for deterrence, like an old school law system. They've gone, right, we're going to make examples of people and put red cards up everywhere, and then that'll stop it happening. And it's just, it's really, they could be doing damage to the game there that loses. It's hard to see. It's hard to see how this could.
And to be fair, this hasn't just happened this World Cup. Like, I went up to that All Blacks Island test last year in Dunedin, and oh, what a bore fest. It was just cards getting dished out everywhere, and the game just dragged on and stoppages. And the people that I were with, we left and went, I can't really justify paying that coming up, travelling up from Invercargill and spending that money on something like that again.
And you're coming off a period in rugby where the bootlace tackle was not effective. It enabled offloads. So coaches have taught these players for the last generation, you got to win the contact, you got to hit high, you got to be dominant. And so all these players coming through have been raised in that environment, and now you're saying to them overnight almost, you've got to, your muscle memory in a split second in a game has got to be completely overridden at all costs. And there's going to be slight mistimings and accidents around that.
It's slowly changing the game, like the contact of the game. Like, it's going to turn them into fucking pussies, you know?
See the footies on. Meow.
You definitely want to... rather than punish the whole team with the red cards, just give out the suspensions after the game.
Let the game run out, for fuck's sakes. It's a World Cup. Like, every motherfucker's watching that game, eh? Like,
well,
shit, mate.
On that note,
well, fucking 4 more years.
New Zealand have got to be happy with that, though. Like, the All Blacks played their fucking guts out, man.
Oh,
like,
they did.
Everything online. They've got to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Poor old Fozzie. If they'd come back and won that, they would have had to step back and make Fozzie a little crown, I reckon.
Yeah, poor Fozzie. It was so close. Like, you can't say they didn't put in the fucking work, and Fozzie didn't put in the work like that.
A year and a half ago, like, honestly, if you let Fozzie loose in Wachner Place, he might have been straight up. But you know, you flash forward 2 years. And I remember after that Ireland game, like I popped onto Facebook and there was a photo of Bundy Keys devastated on the ground and Fozzie's got his arm on his shoulder. And I was like, what do we got in the comments here? There was these people kind of going, oh, there he is, a great man, Fozzie. You know, that's our Fozzie. And then there was a guy underneath him going, oh, the new coach would have been too busy breakdancing. You know, and I was like, I bet these two were at the forefront of the mob. They'll be back for him now. Shit. They'll be back for his blood now.
You wouldn't have thought there's so much pressure on a coach's shoulders, man. Guy like Steve Hansen, like he almost put pressure on New Zealand, like when he was coach. Like,
I think we have grown up a bit as a country, though. And well, I don't know if it's growing up or people are just not quite as passionate, but there isn't the outrage, I think, after losing a World Cup that we used to be.
We got those two that sort of settled us down for a wee bit.
True,
we got 11 and 15, and people were like, right, that'll keep me going for another... I don't know how much gas it'll be in the tank.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
great to chat, guys.
Yeah, mate. Always a pleasure, mate. Enjoy your Thursday.
Look after yourself.
Right,
bye-bye. Ta-da.